Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Ray, aka Daddy Joystick, and I'm here bringing you a trading recap video of December 2nd, 2020. Kind of doing this as a follow-up video to a previous one I did where I went over the strategies that I'm currently employing in the market. It's Equities ETC strategy video, so if you haven't watched that, go back and watch that. So I thought today was a good example to put out there to show some of the trades in the strategies that we're employing in the room. A lot of good trades went on today. So the first one we're looking at is Blackberry, and I've been trading Blackberry the past 2 days. It had some news around teaming up with Amazon Web Services, et cetera, et cetera. So the stock's been volatile, which we like obviously as day traders. And this was actually the one loss I had today. And if you see now, I usually wait like about 10 minutes-ish, give or take, before initiating a trade. Obviously in the beginning, it's a lot of whippy price action. Now, Blackberry opened up down, as you see, first 5-minute candles. This is a 5-minute intraday chart. And as you see, I have 3 indicators that I look at on my charts. I got the blue line, which is the 9 EMA. Purple is a 20 SMA. And the white line is VWAP. And all the strategies that I'm employing revolve around these 3 indicators. And so what I'm looking for, this first strategy, we don't really have a great name for it. We just call it breach. I don't know, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's a strategy that counts, not the name. But anyway, so as you see, opened up down, and then we got this big green candle. So this got my attention because what happened is it breached all 3 lines, as you see, all 3 indicators. So the 9 EMA, the 20 SMA, and VWAP. Now, usually what we see is you'll get a pop in price, which we sort of did. Now, I did lose on this trade because, as you see, this red candle went back down, and now that's where I placed my stop. As you see, the blue line, it's a little faint. I got in at 792 when we got here. I was waiting. I saw the volume coming in. I got long, but then I set my stop right below the averages, which would hit on this red candle. That's okay. That's going to happen. And as it turned out, my thesis wasn't really wrong, right? It was my timing, which was off. And other members in the room got long on it, thank God, because like once this got back up above the lines, as you see, boom, we got a nice pop up. You can take profits up along the way, because usually the further price gets away from the 9 EMA, that's usually what I'm using for my exit point. So once you see price get further extended, this is when I really start taking profit, because in all likelihood it's going to come back down to earth, which it did. So that was a loser for me. I didn't get a re-entry back in, but I thought it was still a good example of the strategy, because once price gets above it, you'll get this pop sometime, especially if volume is following with it. So that was that trade. The next trade I took was Jetblue. Now, Jetblue's a larger float. I don't have the stats up right in front of me, but I believe it's like in the 200 million-ish range. And so I knew this was going to be like a slower mover. But as you see today, like it opened up on a gap down. It gapped down this morning, but it was just a nice steady trend up. And then I caught it once it pulled back. And as you see, I got in, what was this, 1474, and I wrote it up to about 1498. And so this is just one of our 9 EMA long strategies, and it's fairly simple. You try and get an entry as close to the 9 as you can, and you ride that baby up, and you can take profit along the way if you want. You can, it's depending on you and the type of strategy you want to employ. I mean, a lot of times I won't, like I'll get out early, and as you see, sometimes if it doesn't breach, it'll still keep going. You might miss out on some profit, but it can go either way. And so that was a good one. Fairly simple strategy. Jetblue, that was a good one. Took a little bit of time, a little bit more patience than I usually like, but that was that. Next one was Cat B. Now this was an interesting one because I got a shout out to my boy Greg. He's in the room with me. I've been trading with him for a good while now, a few months at least, and he's in there every day trading and grinding, making real good progress. And I was really eyeing this like all morning, but as you see, this thing kind of was moving, hard to catch at a good risk reward entry, and I wasn't able to get it in the morning. My boy Greg did, and he made a real nice gain. As you can see, this thing was like at one point in the day, this thing was up close to like 80-ish%, I want to say. But as you see, I mean, it really kind of obeyed it. I mean, if you could have got it here, you could have got it here. I mean, there's a lot. You could have got it here when it was like, it was like pitter-pattering around like the 250-ish mark for a while, and which is good too. I mean, especially on like a low price stock like the 50 cent and the dollar marks, a lot of times act as support and or resistance, and that's what you got. And so like a lot of with these strategies, what I like to do is you want to converge. It's one thing just to get long just off strictly the strategy, but if it's also lining up with other indicators, like for example, on the daily chart, it could be bouncing off the 20 SMA for resistance, or the 50 or the 200 SMA, any one of those, the 10 SMA, those are ones what I use for the daily chart. So if it conjoins well with the daily chart, if it converges well with like 50 cent mark or a whole dollar mark, I think that just adds a little more credibility to the trade. So I didn't catch it in the morning. Shout out to Greg, he crushed it on it. Glad he was able to capitalize on it. Now the strategy I did employ on this, and this was later in the day, and it was right around here. I got long 218. We call this the projectile strategy. Now this was a projectile long. As you see, it was kind of chopping around a little bit here. Then once price gets above the 9 SMA and the 20, which it did right here, or I didn't get it like right away. I kind of waited for confirmation first. You get long 218. Now, luckily, I felt like it was getting like hung up here. No, actually, no. This is what I did. I sold half profit here, right, with the idea VWAP as target. So this is the projectile strategy. You wait for price to get over the 9 and the 20. You get long with, target being VWAP. Now, it's an ambitious target for sure. So I knew it might take a lot to get there, but this stock was highly traded today, highly active. So I thought there was a chance. So what I did is once we got here, it was already a nice gain. I mean, got up to 226, 218 to 226. Not bad. Not a bad gain at all for a low price stock. So I took half. Now what happened is then I put my stop back at my entry, which got hit. So, I made profit on half shares, but I wanted to give myself a chance to let this keep running and make profit off it. It didn't happen that way. That's okay. That happens. Still a profit, still booked it. Okay. Now, next one was a short on fuel cell. Now this, man, I've been doing real well on fuel cell as of late. This thing's been highly traded, highly active. And it's opened up on a big gap down. I want to say at least over 20% gap down this morning. And this was a real good one. I didn't make as much as I could have on this. That's okay. I'm still pleased with it. Now I got short. Now it's the same thing. This is a projectile strategy, but projectile short. As you see, we started getting choppy here. Then boom, price broke down past the 9 and the 20. And now look how beautifully this just rode down the 9 EMA all the way to VWAP. So this was an ideal one. So I got short 745, and I could have rode this all the way down to 712. Now I exited at, what was this, 728. Still a nice, still a nice gain. I'm not going to complain. But if I would have had a little bit more patience and really obeyed the 9, because I never broke it, I could have stuck with it. Look, boom, could have rode it all the way down to 710-ish area. Now the projectile strategies that I showed you guys, FCell and then Cat B. If you guys notice, this was later in the day. Like 2 o'clock for Cat B, fuel cell. It was, I would say roughly the same time, like 145-ish. These are more afternoon plays, and I think the whole theory behind the projectile plays is we're looking for stocks that are a little overextended and that they're going to make their way back to VWAP, it's volume weighted average price. So that was the recap for today, December 2nd, 2020. Thought it was a good example, so I wanted to show you guys. Thought it was nice, clear examples. So we had Blackberry, which was the breach strategy. You get a stock opening up down, it breaches over the 9 EMAs. You typically get a pop. Didn't happen for me. That's okay. I got a good entry point. Low risk trade with a high reward. Now I got stopped out. That's okay. That happens. We had Jetblue, which was a nice 9 EMA play. So that's the other strategy. So we have the breach, which was the first one. 9 EMA long. And then the projectile strategies, as I showed with fuel cell short, and then we had the projectile long on Cat B, which didn't make it all the way. And you have to be prepared for that sometimes, that they're not all going to make their way to VWAP, but you can still hit a nice little account booster, pad the stats on the end of the day. So it's been a trade recap video. I'm Ray, aka Paulie Walnuts. Call me whatever you like, but don't call me whenever you like. Much love, everybody. Be safe out there. Use stops. 1.